This is our review for Star Wars The Force Awakens. I'm Derek, this is Andrew. We're going to give you our honest reactions and opinions on the movie.
So we just watched it today. I for the first time. Derek here for the third time?
Third time now.
Okay, he's a veteran of The Force Awakens. He's been awoken many times by the Force.
The Force has been awoken.
Now, I am a huge fan of the original trilogy. I feel like, and I've always said this, the moment at the... So I'm going to spoil episode 6.
If you haven't seen it, it's been out for 40 years.
I've always thought that the moment when Luke is there at the very end of all things, Luke is there with Darth Vader, or Anakin Skywalker at this point, and he says, I need to save you. And he says, just take off my helmet, but you'll die. I want to save you. And Darth Vader says, you already have my son. That line and that moment right there is one of the best storytelling moments almost of all time. I mean, it's tops.
Yeah, you know what? I would say that episode 6 is probably has one of my most favorite moments in it as well. My favorite moment actually would be a little bit before that, and it would be when he's basically getting ready to throw him down the shaft. That moment, not the Blu-ray version where he says no, because that's stupid. No, I don't like that edited crap. No, I like it when you don't hear anything. He's got a mask on, so you know, all the acting is just body language at this point. Mm-hmm. And I love it when Luke Skywalker is getting electrocuted, and then Vader basically looks back and forth, and you can tell that there's that contemplation and that conflict. I love that there's that right there, and then he ends up picking up the Emperor and throwing him off. Right. That to me is the bomb. I love the music there. I love that moment.
My goodness.
It's perfect.
Very good. So there's also this little thing called the prequels, which is episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
In contrast to what we just talked about, episodes 4, 5, and 6. I just like to compare and contrast the 6.
I feel like you kind of need to.
Yeah, I'm just done.
No words really need to be said about the prequels, and I almost like to try to forget about them for the most part, honestly.
Don't get me started.
I think we're both in agreement that those movies suck. I mean, they're Star Wars, so you watch them, you know them, it's Star Wars, but
I don't know. So going into this, I was kind of... I had a certain type of anticipation, obviously, because of the previous experience of the huge classic movies. These 3 things off to the side that just came in, warp speed out of nowhere. I don't know, I maybe missing some Star Trek in there, but anyways.
Yeah, well, spray that in there.
I'm a huge fan of J.J. Abrams. I didn't really have doubts about it, but obviously I hadn't seen the movie yet.
Yeah, I would say I didn't.
So it was great going into it, watching it, and being like, yes, this is fantastic.
So, having seen it 3 times, I will say this. First time that I watched it, I was a little bit overwhelmed. I think I was anticipating the movie so much that when certain things started happening, I just kind of sat there with my mouth open like this. Which is pretty much how I watch every movie, I think. I think I just sit there with my mouth open. I'm like catching flies.
Gotta wipe up the drool.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was sitting there and I'm just like, oh man, so much is happening so fast. I was able to compose myself a little bit more and get off the hype train. And I liked it more the second time.
There is an awful lot of hype to the movie, which is an additional struggle, I think.
Yes, and I think a lot of people kind of are having the same experience that I had, and that's the, whoa, I feel a little bit overwhelmed. I just talked to somebody else that I saw the movie with today, and they said that they felt the same way. The second time was just better. And it was for me. This is probably my favorite Star Wars movie so far. And I'm not saying that because I just got Phantom Menaced, as some like to say. I'm not saying that it's my favorite movie because it just came out and it's Star Wars. I'm not saying that. I've been through enough grief.
Right.
I've been through enough crap.
Right. Now, so I was just checking the movie on IMDb, and I think it's 14 on the top 200, top movies.
Oh, really? Of all time, already?
It's in the top 20. Which, now that's hype train stuff, I think.
Probably.
Obviously, the newer films are going to jump up in there.
I'm pretty sure it's 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, too.
But still, it's good. It's actually right. It's so episode 5 is up there, episode 4 is up there, and it's right in between the two.
It's good. If you're questioning in your mind, oh, is this a good movie? Is this a bad movie? Is it something that's in between mediocre?
It's like the gray side of the Force.
Yeah, like Knights of the Old Republic, you're just like, you're nothing. You're boring.
RPG.
You can use light side and dark side.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Just like Hannah Montana. So, to go along with what makes it a good movie and the rewatchability of it, and also the, people are getting blasted with just a lot of stuff. I think that's not necessarily a mark of a good movie, but it is a mark of a good movie when there's so much in there that you can go back, rewatch it, and be like, oh, I'm catching this and this now because I've already taken it in once. I've received it myself once, and now going back, all this stuff is playing on layers on layers. That definitely happens in this movie.
Oh yeah.
And I was kind of analytical watching it for the first time. I'm fairly good at that, not the best, definitely, but there were some things I caught that were like, I didn't realize they were interweaving into later portions of the movie or back into portions of the history of these characters.
Yeah.
Which we're going to talk about the characters.
Yeah, we will. One other thing that I wanted to mention, though, before we get into the characters, I was telling you how I like movies that basically pose a whole lot of questions. I like that about a movie. I like movies that have mystery to them. I like that there's a bunch of questions that you go into the movie with, and then you come out with sometimes even more questions. Prometheus, I'm talking about you. Well, if Prometheus is watching, you're welcome.
Shout out.
Yeah, I'm there for you, baby. I like that movie. Anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. So yeah, I like movies that do that, and I felt like this movie did that. So if you like to go into a movie and be like, oh man, I got all these questions, I'm really interested in this story, and then come out and be like, oh, you know what? I have even more questions now. Not stupid questions that are like, why didn't they just do that?
Right.
Not stuff like that where it's like there's a plot hole, there's a plot problem, a plop problem.
That was what all of the prequels were about. Plop problems.
They were plops themselves. So now we can talk about the characters. Now that I've got that off my chest.
Right. So, I thought that was one of the main things that made the movie pop. There was a moment near the beginning, I leaned over to him and I was like, that scene that that 5-minute scene that we just watched, there was more energy between these two characters than there was in the entire prequels put together. At first, there was like a twinge of, they're overacting.
Whoa, is this real?
It was like, is this really that important to you guys? And then you were like, yeah, their lives are hanging on what's happening right now.
Yeah, like this
they're
is
gonna
serious.
die. This is good. They're actually acting like what's happening is what's happening.
Yeah, which
is totally not what we're used to
chain.
experiencing. Yeah, so what do you think about characters?
I think getting a little bit more specific without going into anything that will spoil anything, the relationships between the characters are really good. Like you said, the energy between the characters at the very beginning is spot on.
Right, and all throughout.
Yeah, and all throughout. But the interactions, I mean, obviously some things are not very much of a spoiler. Han is with Chewie. You see that in the trailer. Right. Their interactions together are perfect.
It's an actual relationship there.
Yeah,
like they're friends.
And they're
buddies, and they've been through all this stuff together.
It's kindling that old relationship that you know and love from the originals. It's good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Another thing that we'll say about this movie, and I don't think this is a spoiler either because we're not going to go into the details of this, but it's like what we experienced at the movie theater today by the little girl that was sitting behind us. Or whatever, the child.
Yeah.
She's like, this movie has a lot of funny parts in it.
That was an exact quote of a kid behind us.
And the thing about it is that she's right, but it's like you said also.
Right, so Jar Jar. I'm sorry, you might have to blur my mouth out. The humor that was in the prequels, like they were trying to make it funny and for kids, right? So enter Jar Jar. That didn't have to happen because there's no such thing in this movie. Like this movie is using characters, using the situations they're in, using the quips back and forth between relationships, the characters that we know, to make funny moments. Even the new characters, they come on the scene and they have their own characterization. They're either vulnerable people or they're people that are trying to do something, go places. And then they'll do something that's just really funny for them to do as them.
Yeah.
And it makes everybody laugh, even the kids. Kids don't need Saturday morning cartoons.
Kids don't need to be spoon-fed with garbage, okay? So, like, if I had to compare the humor of episode 1 to the humor of this movie is like giving your kids a Reese's, and episode 1 is like giving your kid marshmallow, just straight up. It's stupid. I don't like marshmallow. It's like a peep. It's like an Easter Peeps, a sugar puff. I'm just saying it's good that the humor is that way and that the characters are that way. Let's kind of talk a little bit about the story without spoiling the story. Like, this is going to be kind of harder to do. Obviously, from the trailer, you know that Finn appears to be a stormtrooper, and he looks like he's really intense in the trailers, like he's maybe running from something. You know, that's kind of the vibe that you get.
Yeah, I put together a lot of that from the trailer.
And then Rey is obviously a scavenger.
Right.
She's been on this planet, Jakku.
These are like the two basic new characters.
Two basic new characters. You got
throughout the film.
Yeah, this sets up our story. You know, you got this guy who's on the run, kind of. He's really intense, and then you got this girl who's basically been stuck on this planet doing nothing,
but wanting to do more than nothing. There's a great moment that's just really short. She's cleaning the scrap that she just found that day.
I noticed this too. I know what you're going to say.
Courtyard, and she looks up, and there's this lady across from her
that's cleaning really old.
She's cleaning scrap too that she found that day, and she looks at her just for a second, and you know she's like,
"This could be my life.
Is that going to be me? Am I just going to be on this planet for God knows how many years?"
Yeah.
Just doing that.
And then obviously you have Kylo Ren, which is the new bad guy. He's pretty awesome. I bought a shirt previous to watching the movie, and I'm glad that I bought this shirt after watching the movie. I really like the character.
Yeah. I think I told Derek, if I had to pick a favorite character, it's actually Kylo Ren, which sounds weird, but...
There might be people out there who have already seen the movie that are like, I totally disagree with that. I know I've heard some different things from other people saying they didn't like Kylo Ren's direction. I'm actually completely okay with it, and I like it. So if you know what I'm talking about, then I'm talking to you. Obviously, we know that Han Solo and Princess Leia are in the movie, and they fit in well. And the chemistry's good, and their plot in the story is good. Like, their part in the story, I guess, is good as well.
It's really great to have those characters that we kind of mentioned, with old ones that are kind of brought in, but new characters that come across as actual people that you want to care about.
Yeah.
And that you want to see where their desires take them, or where life takes them. There was a lot of moments when they were faced with choices, and some of them were sparked by different events that happened, and some of them were just themselves getting caught up in all that was going on and being like, I really shouldn't be doing this anymore. I should make it easy on myself, and I should take the easy route out. Both of them faced decisions like that. It's just really cool seeing that play out.
So that being said, Andrew, what do you give this movie as far as a rating?
Oh,
scale of 1 to 10.
Well, I think I would go an 8 on this one, actually.
An 8, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a 9. I'm going 9 out of 10. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and that's why you can let us know what your opinion is in the comments. Please join in on the discussion. If you've seen the movie, please do not post spoilers on a non-spoiler review saying everything about everything so that people go down there and they're like, oh, innocence, and then all of a sudden it's taken away.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, if you like the video, please click like, and if you want to see more from us, please press the subscribe button. May the Force be with you.